Hey, fellow comrades, how you guys been doing? It's your boys in here, and welcome back to our new Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi Bell. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves a match against Garra, and this match took place before Magneton was put into RU. So basically, we have a huge threat to deal with, and I'm looking at my team, I'm looking at his team. I'm pretty sure he's gonna lead with it, just because, well, let's just say that 5 of my Pokemon cannot really deal with it outside of Pyroar. So basically, I lead with that threat that can deal with Magneton. Hope he's not Scarf. He does a force switch, he doesn't volt switch, but then again, he could be potentially thinking I'm Scarf. Who knows? Surprise factor on Pyroar is very fast, but you just never know, and maybe he doesn't want to risk. Plus, not to mention that I'm still not too sure. You know, again, like I said, there are some times where people can take you off guard by bluffing a certain Scarf or not, but. Anyways, Cordelia coming in, and he's gonna switch out to Weezing. I'm thinking that he was expecting me to go for Earthquake, trying to avoid with a Levitate Pokemon, predicting the Magneton, because Magneton pretty much was Cordelia if he doesn't possess a ground type move of sorts. It's even immune to the likes of Toxic, for Toxic stalling Cordelia and so forth. Put up the rocks, which will be very beneficial to the likes of Firo. I didn't expect him to have Toxic. Didn't really do that much damage, to be perfectly honest. I was quite surprised by the lackful amount of damage I did, but I should consider that it's still on step and the light screen is still up. It kind of makes sense when I should think about it. I switch out to Weezing as he does go for the Clear Smog. I'm thinking, okay, now I'm gonna go for the Willis, expect him to like switch out to a Dino or something, but he really makes a good move right here, trying to avoid the burn by switching out to Ember directly onto Weezing. Which Embers tend to be physical, but this one is specs, you know, this one is actually special. And that kind of does confirm, you know, the reason he did switch out into Weezing. Most people don't really bother switching their physical attacker into Weezing, because if it doesn't super fast hit them, you know, hit the Weezing, then it's mostly one ticket to hell. Anyways, Scald, I did Torment. I pretty much, you know, locked him into Struggle because he was mostly locked into the one move. And Torment pretty much makes you shuffle around with moves. Unfortunately, he didn't have that kind of luxury to mess around with. I'm not too sure if he had to click the attack to see the struggle, or does it automatically took you into a struggle. Maybe he thought that he can Scald one more time and then have the luxury to, you know, to be forced into struggle. That could be it, because I'm down that was a misclick. But still, anyways, I did go for the Confuse Ray against this. Basically, Cordelia can most likely take the struggle Ember without much concern, of course, as you know, this is gonna make him have that 50% chance to not do anything, as well as trying to avoid the possible Toxic, which he did reveal back before against the Porygon 2, and afterwards go for the Torment against the Ardino to piss it off a little bit. It's only right, I feel, leftovers recovery a bit. It's definitely gonna work, because basically he's got a Firo there, and Firo could be a potential threat, especially if it's Scarf. You know, Magneton's a threat if it's Scarf, Firo is a threat if it's Scarf. So definitely have to work around that. Basically, Firo and Magneton do kind of cover each other quite well for Delibird to not handle Firo all that easily, because Ice Shard and basically Magneton resist that. So I go for Aerial Ace, expect him to switch out to Ember, expect me to go for Ice Punch, Ice Shard, and, you know, pretty much my main stab move. Unfortunately, I go for my main second stab move, and that was incredible, because we managed to take down the Ember before he allows himself to get his wish recovery going. So that was pretty great. I switch out to Porygon as he decides to go for the Volt Switch. Does considerable amount. Unfortunately, the poison is the problem here, because the poison is pretty much gonna make me impossible to wall the Magneton. Then again, I wouldn't have really wall it. All I really could have done against one is try to damage it a little bit. But that is as far as this Porygon goes. Unfortunately, it doesn't even have Tri-Attack. I still need to level this Pokemon up to a point where he actually learns it. But as of right now, it still doesn't have it. It's not been working all that well for me, but you know, to each its own. Some Pokemon work sometimes, some others just don't. It's all based on the situation given. He did review there, you know, with the Sky Attack, incredible, easily took me out. No question in my mind, that would have been enough. Weezing can take the Firo. After that, he switches out to a Dino as I burn it. Basically, the reason I burned this Audino is I really was expecting this Audino to come in. I didn't want to double switch just in case he does decide to like stay in or something. The burn is gonna make Audino a little bit easier to manage, because with the burn switch in, Pyro shoot, you know, just Fire Blast away and potentially two-shot it. So that's pretty much my main plan. Unfortunately, this Audino is gonna make himself, you know, pretty bulky, additional bulk under reflect and light screen. Definitely not all that promising regarding my team. I do have break on my Delibird, but I don't want to risk a potential miss. We're gonna see if we're gonna handle that. Anyways, I go for the flamethrower. I do barely any damage to this Magneton. This was actually quite incredible, even with light screen support. I was not expecting Magneton to take it all that well, you know, that took it like it was tackle from like a 5 level Pokemon against a level 10 Pokemon basically. It didn't do anything, and that was super effective damage, even from the things and pinks and, you know, slash walls to a certain degree. In this case, it feels like Weezing is mostly a wall because I'm not doing any damage towards this Pokemon. So I was yeah, I was took by surprise there. Anyways, I did go for the Confused Ray to further try to kind of make him hit himself, you know, trying to weather himself down with light screen and reflect support. I also want to stall those screens out if possible, because I know this is pretty much going to be his last attempt in getting those up. If he doesn't directly switch out to Audino after screens are taken down, reflect has been worn off. That is great because basically this will make it a little bit more manageable. Where Fire Blast, I don't have to risk a light screen, ladies and gentlemen. This is the turn I was talking about. Fire Blast is gonna guarantee to take him out now. But then again, there's a reasonable difference between Weezing's Flamethrower and Pyro's Fire Blast. There's like incredible special attack as well as Fire Blast, Life Orb, Staff. There's a huge difference. But then again, I would have never taken him out at the amount of HP he was at back before, so I had to kind of wear him down a little bit to guarantee myself. As well as his Audino is burned, so he cannot take the Fire Blast. At least he cannot take 2. So I took him out. Magneton, basically based on typings, Magneton is the biggest threat without a doubt. Thankfully, he did stay in there. Now, here is where I actually made a misclick going for Hyper Beam. I read Hyper, you know, Hyper Voice, Hyper Beam, both starting with Hyper. I clicked the wrong one, and that was a huge mistake because the thing is I had to recharge, and I will pretty much give this Mightyena the opportunity to get his Moxie up. Definitely not the preferable option this late in the game. This Mightyena also runs Sucker Punch, and late game it can be a huge potential threat. It is Life Orb, so I can maybe dealt with one, basically with the Life Orb damage, or stalling it out a little bit after Sludge Bomb, but seeing the damage, I'm actually doubting that Life Orb is gonna be a 2-hit. So this is actually very bad because Crunch with the Moxie support is actually gonna be a surprising 2-hit, and basically this Weezing is invested heavily, if not fully, into defense, and he's got +2 right now. So basically looking at his HP, I'm thinking he's gonna survive with like 1 HP, that it's gonna be a clutch. So switch out to my Delibird, go for Ice Shard. I'm luckily faster, which means Sucker Punch is gonna fail, and he was actually hoping that I am Adaminature to have as much power as I can. But in this case, speed is gonna overcome the situation. As always, speed is the most important stats when it comes down to offense. Without a doubt, you always go with speed, and it came down to be pretty much the biggest factor. As I switch out to my Kingler, hoping he doesn't have like a T-Bolt. You know, he's got Clear Smog, he's got Toxic. Basically, I kind of was fearing the possibility of him still having the T-Bolt super effect hitting me, but then again, I'm not too sure if he can actually one-shot me on the, you know, on that particular turn. As I do manage to get the Crab Hammer off, he's gonna switch out to Audino to try to further Toxic stall me, maybe hopefully take you know, the Crab Hammer, but unfortunately this is Life Orb boosted. This is actually gonna easily take down Audino. So Audino's days have been numbered, and the Poison again further Toxic stalling me to a point where pretty much anything he does now is gonna take me out. Now here's the thing, I didn't want to go for the Crab Hammer. I know the Exeter he will probably survive, knowing Weezing's resistance towards Bug, but I want to guarantee myself the win here. I don't care too much about the score. What I want to do is damage it with a 100% accuracy move, where I can switch out to Delibird and go for another 100% accuracy move with Hustle Boost and Bandit. I don't have to risk the possible miss with Crab Hammer and possibly even him successfully taking my next move with Delibird. Basically, Exeter dead him down to where there's going to be a guarantee area ace taking him out, and that was the game against Garra. Hope you guys have enjoyed this match as much as I did. This match was, you know, it came down really close, intense. Delibird finally putting in some work. We got ourselves some really good kills with it. Maybe I could have break sooner, trying to get rid of the screens, but we managed to kind of make it a little bit different for him. You know, that toxic stock really was working quite well, stalling down the screens, and also, you know, basically making him a little bit easier to manage. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you did enjoy, be sure to give a like. Thank you very much, guys, for your continued support, and until next time, take care. Peace.